We are really excited to welcome you to today's virtual field trip at O'Mara Beef Farm. My name is Katie Carpenter. I'll help as the host today, working with the New York Beef Council, who is on site at Chrissy's farm. And our true host hosting us on our farm today is Chrissy Claudio, and you'll get to meet her. But we just want to note we're really excited to have schools from all across New York State joining us. From every corner of northern New York to western New York, central New York, all the way in New York City. We are so happy that you are all here and connected on this virtual field trip. Just a couple of things to remember. We can't see you or hear you, but we are still going to take as many questions as possible from you, the students. The best way to do that is to hover over the bottom of your screen. You'll see a Q&A box. On that Q&A box, that's where you can type in your questions. So we are really excited to hear all the things you want to know about dairy cattle, and I'm sure Chrissy will be excited to answer that. At this point, I would love to introduce you to Chrissy Claudio, who is owner at O'Mara Beef Farms, and Chrissy's going to be our host today. She has a lot of information to tell you, and she wants to give just a little bit of background about her farm and who she is.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to share our farm. Again, my name is Chrissy Claudio. My husband, Corey, myself, and my daughter, Addison, run the O'Mara Farms Black Angus beef farm over here at the Endless Trails Farm in Hubbardsville, New York. O'Mara Farm started with beef cattle in 2005. They started with 5 cows, and we have a lot more than that now. And my husband and I and my daughter joined the team about 2 years ago in 2017. We manage the farm, the cow-calf operation, and we also manage and oversee the yearlings who are backgrounding, and we help with herd health for everybody. And then we also run the Endless Trails Guest House here, which is by the Charles E. Baker State Land, which people come and ride their horses with. We are a commercial Black Angus operation. Our cow-calf herd here calves from May till the end of July. So we decide to have babies when there's nice grass and the mommy's milk has lots of nutrients in it because the grass is doing well. But that's our decision as farmers. We calve from May to August. We had about 140 babies this year, and the boys really won compared to the girls. We had a lot more boys this year. So boys rule, I guess, this year. So daily we check during calving season to see which moms have had babies, make sure everybody's healthy and happy, because healthy, happy animals are, they're gonna do the best for us. What else? So we're gonna talk a little bit about the life cycle of a beef cow. There's 3 major portions of the life cycle. The one that I would know the best about because we do the most is the cow-calf operation. So this one right here coming up to us, 125, she's a mommy and she is 4 years old, I believe. So she's just had her 2nd calf of her life this year. She's a really good mommy. All of our mommies have orange tags, which we'll talk about later as well. They're all going to be pretty interested in what's going on. But the cow's gestation, so they grow a baby inside of them for about 9 months. And then they have their baby, and then they'll milk that baby, or they'll nurse that baby for about 5 to 6 months. So this is the time of the year where everybody's happy and getting good milk and eating good grass. I think they're a little grouchy today because the grass isn't coming like it used to in spring. What else? So once they get weaned from their mommies, they background for a little bit until spring, the following spring. So that means that they eat we choose to feed them barley and high quality hay. And then once spring comes, they're big kids now, or I guess it would be considered teenagers. And we move them to a different farm that we have, and they just get to live the good life from spring until fall. They get to run around and play and eat grass and play some more, cause some trouble. And then after that, they go to the feedlot. So we finish our cows on, I have it over here. We choose to finish our cows, well, actually, they always have free choice minerals. These are the red ones right here. So all the time in different feeders in their pastures, they have free choice minerals that supplement what they couldn't get from the grass. And then in the winter, when the grass isn't growing, they have really nice hay. This is some of their hay. They don't like to eat that as much. They like to eat the grass. The grass is like the Frosted Flakes. And this is like the bran, but it's still really good for them. And then we finish our animals at the feedlot, and the babies, we supplement them with barley. So this is some of that as well.
Chrissy, I have a question.
Okay.
Do you grow the hay and the barley on your farm, or do you buy that from another farmer?
Thank you. That's a really good point that I was supposed to talk about and I forgot. O'Mara Farms grows their own crops. So the cows are part of the farming enterprise, but the bigger part other than the beef cows is crops. O'Mara Farms grows barley, green beans, rye. They grow hay, dry hay. We do baleage. And I'm sure there's other things that I'm going to get in trouble for forgetting. But yes, we grow all of our own hay, and we make it all ourselves, process it all of ourselves, and also the barley. So some of the barley we feed to the cows, and then some of the other barley that we don't use for the cows is sold as malting barley for some of the breweries and such around. But yes, that's a very good point. We do it all of ourselves. Not us personally. My husband and I are lucky enough to take care of the cows. We say we have the good job, but some of our other people who work for O'Mara Farms help us with the crops. So that's a very good point. Thank you very much.
Now, boys and girls, you should also notice that some of the things that Chrissy has talked about so far, you may have seen in your inquiry box. You got a really exciting box before we had this field trip, and you might start thinking about what are the things that came in the box that Chrissy has been talking about. I can see about 4 things so far. So hopefully you're keeping track of all those things you got in your box that Chrissy is talking about.
That one right there who has an opinion, that's 94. She had twins this year, and that's not normal for cows. So she had 2 babies, and she was a really good mom, and she milked them both. But normally they have 1 calf a year, which is an important thing to remember. And so I guess what would make them beef cows different than dairy cows would be that the dairy cows get milked by a farmer twice a day, every day, and the calves take care of that for us. So their mommy's milk is way better than anything we could feed them. And so that's why it's so important for us to take such good care of them, feed them high quality hay and feed, because without that, they wouldn't produce very good milk to make these beautiful calves grow and be healthy. So we want everybody to be healthy. So you'll see the mommies have some tags on them. I'm gonna grab a couple. All the mommies have, oh, sorry, buddy. All the mommies have these orange tags, which I'm not sure made it into your box, but we use these numbers as a visual ID so we can keep the history and the health record of each mom. And then all the boys get yellow tags at our farm. They get 2, 1 in each ear. It's just like getting your ears pierced, which I'm sure a lot of you have had your ears pierced. And then the girls, because girls like pink, right? All the girls get these little nice, pretty pink tags. So that's really important to us, that all the animals, we know how old they are, what we've done to them, who their mom and dad is. Records are very important to us here. So that's how we do that. And if they lose one, we just replace it and they get another. What else? The mommies also get a little button tag. It's called an 840 tag. So it's kind of cool. You can scan it and it gives each mom an individual 12-digit number. But
we have a couple questions coming in, Chrissy, if you don't mind.
Okay. Perfect.
Miss Gina wants to know, I'm not sure which school this is from, what's the hardest part about taking care of the cows?
Well, living in central New York, I think it would be 2 things I would have to say. It's the cold and the weather and the snow. It's not always, I want to take care of them, but when it's like -10, that's not the most fun part of it. I always say that the spring, summer, and fall wipes the slate for us and makes you forget about how cold it was. But so this time of the year, we really enjoy. I think the second part of that, the second answer to that would be me personally, I get attached, not to each individual one, but I have a real respect for them. And I want to make sure that they live their life happy and healthy. So sometimes when I feel like I didn't possibly do the best job and maybe somebody gets sick, that's a little hard on me. I feel pretty responsible, and that can wear you down a little bit. But other than that, we're pretty lucky here. Was there another one?
There is another question that actually segues really well into your number one hardest part about raising cows. Where do the cows go in the winter when it's cold?
So beef cows, that's another point that's a lot different than dairy cows. Beef cows are well suited to live outside. They have and so they're starting to grow it. You'll see they're fuzzy. They have very thick coats and hides, and they actually grow like a 2-layer coat. So our cows here at O'Mara Farms, we do not have a barn for them. We winter outside. So we use different geographic locations on our farm. We have windbreaks. We put out bedding hay. We do an exposed bedded pack for them. So that is just, some hay that they lay in, and then it kind of starts to compost itself. So it actually makes a little bit of heat. But that is a big difference between dairy cattle and beef cattle. Dairy cattle have thinner hides and aren't as well suited to be outside, so they stay inside most of the time. But here at O'Mara Farms, we winter outside. We find it to be healthiest.
Great, thanks, Chrissy.
Oh, yep, and one other thing too, if you notice cows outside, when the snow is on top of them, that's showing how well insulated they are. And we just try to feed them, we give a lot of forage and dry hay out a lot. If we keep them fed and keep the rumen working, it's like a little furnace, and it keeps them warm. But that's an important point to remember too. When you see the cows outside and you see snow on their back and it's not melted, that's actually good, because that means they have enough fat and they're insulating. They're not losing their body heat to the outside. Is there any other ones, or did we want to talk about grazing?
Let's talk about grazing a little bit.
Okay, we have a grazing stick right here. So we work with our local soil and water conservation district through Madison County, and he had a grazing map, but so I have about 180 acres here that I graze, and I have 70 pairs. So the definition for a pair is a mom and a baby. So every day the cows get a new fresh section of grass, and then we plan ahead through my grazing map and my grazing plan for each pasture or each section to get 30 to 45 days rest. I use my grazing stick to go around and measure how high the grass is. And then there's a little sheet of paper I do, and I calculate or predict how much forage is there for them. So based on the year and the weather, I can graze my cows 175 days, and then best case scenario, I could do it 200 days. I really like the 200 days because I really like them eating their own hay rather than me putting it out there in our feeders. But we have different conservation practices and such. Our farm, you keep the cows away from the creek. You don't let them stand in the creek. We really want to worry about our sustainability and our impact on the environment. Because if I don't take care of my land's not going to grow for me and make nice forage for my cows, which in return keeps my cows healthy and happy. So it's a great service through NRCS and Soil and Water through our county, and it's free as well. So if you ever have any questions or concerns about them, they're a great asset to farmers and just to people in general. So
that's a great point. And we have another question that maybe relates to that. As you talk about how important it is to make sure your land is healthy, and you employ all these experts to come and help you make sure your land is healthy, Mrs. Mertz's 4th grade class has a question, and they want to know, how long has your farm been around?
Well, like I said, O'Mara Farms started in 2005. O'Mara Farms bought this farm, Endless Trails, I believe 4 years ago. But prior to that, another farm owned it, and they bought this farm in 2005. So this has actually been I don't know the exact amount of years, but prior to that, it was a Larkin farm. So this farm has been a farm for conservatively, I would say about 50 years. And the dairy farm across the street was one as well. So I don't have an exact date on that, I'm sorry. But I do know that this has been a It was a dairy, and then it transitioned to beef, and then we continued the beef operation as well. So this land has been farmland for a very long time, and we've continued in the good conservation practices, but the prior owners, the Williams, they did a very good job as well. So we're very blessed here with good soil, and we have some nice creeks that we're able to give the cows, like, I guess natural water is not the best way to say, because water is natural anyway, but we're able to give the cows in different paddocks access to creeks rather than through a spring or a hydrant and such. But we're very lucky here. We have very good soil, and we continue to try to promote that here. So I think we're going to walk over to our other side, and I think Dan had a slide that he was going to put up while we walked over. This is our Pearson, by the way, too, cattle chute, but we'll see that on the other side. Is that side up for them, Katie?
Not
I can't
yet.
see.
Dan, is
This
that
is,
slide up?
I can't see because Katie's got, but this is Lucy. She was last year's last calf. So 2018, she was our last calf of the year. And this is my husband, Corey, too, as well. He was just making sure Lucy was behaving, helping me out. She's not always the most patient. She's just a yearling, and she was our last calf of the year, and our daughter actually shows her. So she's got one more show next week, but she's got two little goat friends so all the other cows live outside, but Lucy gets to live the good life, and she lives in a stall in the barn and is patient with my daughter.
So talk about what Lucy will do with this calf. She shows this calf, and what does that mean?
So my daughter Addison will take Lucy the calf to the different shows. She's in 4-H. She's active in 4-H, and the calf will go to like the different county fairs. And so all Lucy and Addison have to do is they have to walk around, and they have like a little show stick, and they stand up correctly. And then a judge will come in and critique Lucy based on like how she's put together, which means how big her body is, how well we've taken care of her and conditioned her. So conditioning is this, like, we feed her grain and hay and give her grass. So we do that to try to continue our daughter's interest in the animals as well. But it's a little fun way to incorporate what we do for a living as a hobby as well, I guess. But yeah, Lucy's got one more show in Cobleskill next weekend, and then she gets to be a calf the rest of the winter.
Great.
What? Oh, we were gonna guess Lucy's weight. I didn't know if anybody had put in Lucy's or guessed a weight for her yet. Oh, yeah. If you would do it now is it in the bottom?
So a poll just popped up on your screen, and you get to answer. How much do you think that this heifer weighs? And you have a couple options there, either 100 to 200 pounds, 250 to 350 pounds, 450 to 550 pounds, or 750 pounds to 1,000 pounds. You can select your guess now.
Yep. So just to remind you, Lucy is only one. So that might help you in picking your answer. But she does like grain. She's a very good eater too, so.
All right, hopefully you have your votes locked in.
So I think we're gonna go over to the chute and talk about, we're gonna give you a weight now? Is that what you like, Katie?
Yeah, let's do that. Our poll is done. So the guesses, we actually have a tie, Chrissy. So this is what the guesses are. We had 7 schools each who thought that Lucy weighed 450 to 55 pounds and 750 to 1,000 pounds.
So Lucy actually is 300 pounds. She's a little light just because she was a bottle calf. But typically when we wean them from their mom, which would be they would be about anywhere from 200 to 250 days old, we would expect them to be, or hope them to be, somewhere around 400. So Lucy is a little bit light, but today, because I weighed her yesterday, she weighs about 300 pounds. So good guesses, everybody.
Great. We do have a couple questions, if you don't mind, Chrissy.
Yes, absolutely.
So we had from your neighbors in Sherrill, New York,
Okay.
at EA McAllister School. They had a question. How do you know if your cow is pregnant?
That's a good question, because you would have managed her well, but there's a couple different ways that we can check to see if the cow is pregnant. In one of the ways, we would use our chute system here, and we would have the veterinarian, we'd schedule an appointment, and our cow would go through, we'd put her in this really nice, this is a squeeze chute, which helps them calm down and relax. And our veterinarian would then check her and ultrasound her to see if she was pregnant. And there is a different way that we can do it as well. We could take a blood sample from her and send that away, and that would tell us. But here we have our veterinarian. We're a BQA level 2 farm here. So that's beef quality assurance. So we have a veterinary client-patient relationship, and we utilize our veterinarian over at Tassel Hill, Dr. Parfit. He's great. We have him come out once a year, and we check to see who's pregnant and who's not. And we also use him all through the summer and such if we have any kind of problems calving. But typically that doesn't go that. If we don't have to have him here, that's great. So is there another question?
Sure, there are. So a couple schools have this question. Do your cows come in different colors, and do you have all different types of cows on your farm?
So at our farm, we are a commercial Black Angus operation. That was our choice. We believe that the Black Angus has a different taste and such, and that's just what we went for. We do, if you did see before, have a couple of ones that have white faces, and those are called Baldies. But there is multiple different kinds of and types and breeds of beef cows. There's Herefords, there's Red Angus, there's Shorthorns. I believe Shorthorns, you could correct me, those can be dairy and those can be beef. And then there's like Wagyu. So there is different colors and varieties of each. But here we just have black, and we get excited when one of the Baldy moms has a Baldy baby, because you don't get very many of them in a year. So that's an exciting day for us. We had two of them this year, and the ones that are Baldies, they get names. So we have Rocket this year and Blossom. We had a boy and a girl that had a white face. Was there any more questions, or?
We do. There was a question from Pine Grove Middle School. Do you have any, they asked specifically about pigs, but do you have any other animals on your farm?
We don't have any pigs. We have multiple horses. I think we have 7 horses here for recreation, and we have draft horses that we're going to do some wagon rides with. But I guess we're kind of like Noah's Ark here. We have 2 goats, a ferret, some chickens. We raise meat birds for ourselves. But really the big farming operation here at O'Mara Farms is the cows, the beef cows. So was there any other ones, possibly?
We do. We have a couple of questions talking about food. And Mrs. Mertz's 4th grade class wanted to know, how much food do they need each day?
That's a great question. And so I use this percentage that I'll talk about when I'm calculating how long that they need to be in a certain section of pasture and how much forage is there. So we try and we aim for each cow to eat 2.5 to 3% of their body weight per day in dry matter. So when I calculate that for my cow-calf pairs for my grazing plan, I average that about this time of the year, each pair, I would say that they're about 1,600 pounds. So my cows average 1,300 pounds, and then I add in, sorry, one second, we had a technical difficulty. I add in how much I think that their baby weighs. So about this time of the year, they're eating 40 pounds of dry matter per day. So that's how I figure it out. And we do have different Excel spreadsheets and such to figure out like a ration and make sure that they're getting all the nutrients that they need. Was there another question, or did you want to?
Let's answer one more question. They're from Mrs. Mertz's 4th grade class and from Kylie Custon's class. They want to know about the same question. How long do the cows live and their lifespan? And along that, they wanted to know, when do the cows get turned into hamburger?
Somebody liked that question. So this year we have, I think our oldest cows, we have like 6 of them and they're 14 years old. That's not the normal, but they get turned into, they get processed, or culled is the word, that the term we would use, about either, there's a couple different reasons that we would cull a cow. She's not pregnant, or she can't get pregnant. Temperament is the big one for us. They're very big animals. Each cow weighs a lot more than I do, and if she has a bad temper or she's grumpy and not nice to work with, that's one of the most important reasons to get rid of, or to cull one of them. And then conformation problems as well. Maybe she's older and has arthritis, but that's not a decision we love to do, but it is definitely part of the farming process.
Great.
Oh,
I think now
Catherine wanted me to talk about the bull calves quickly.
Sure.
So the bull calves with the yellow tags, so they're bull calves now, and they will get banded, or castrated would be the technical word, in another month or 2. And so they have a lifespan. And so the bull calves are typically processed. So they go and they background for a year, and then they go to the feedlot for 3 to 4 months, and they finish on barley, and they have a nice straw bed and fans, and they relax and live the good life. And then the beef, or they're called steers then once they're castrated, and they are typically processed before somewhere around 24, for us, somewhere around 24 to 27 months of age. 2 years, sorry, 2 years.
Great. Do we want to talk a little bit about the chute behind you?
Yep. So everybody got a book. The girl who saw in pictures about Temple Grandin, she was fantastic, and she really cultivated and changed the industry as far as low stress cattle handling. So this is our Pearson squeeze chute. This is our tub. So we try to do it as low stress and calm as we can, and we could actually walk Lucy through. We'll come this way around, but this is our tub over here. And they come through this way. You'll see us. Let me open the gate for Lucy. She's going to be our demonstrator today. They come through, and this door opens up for them. And I think Catherine's going to follow us so you can kind of see. I think Lucy's getting camera shy, so I'll just help her. Come on, Lulu. So they'll go through the tub. Come on, Lucy. Typically, you don't have to do this because they're not on a halter. Lucy's just being camera shy today. They walk through this tub. It's called a crowd tub. And then you'll see the alley. So actually, when Lucy's not used to this because she hasn't gone through it a lot. But they'll walk through here. Come on, Lulu. Come on, Lulu. Come on. Let's go. I'll get you the green if you want to. Lucy's going to make a liar out of us. She's like a kid at the first day of school. She's like, what are you guys doing with me? I never do this. Well, we'll go back around and we'll show you her squeeze chute that we use.
And so, Chrissy, you may use this process if they need a vaccination or just to do a health check.
Exactly, correct. Vaccination, health check, preg check for the vet. We use this a lot too. If I have a mom who's a little nervous about, like she's a first-time mom, a little nervous about her baby nursing, I'll put her in here and we pull this. I'm not going to do it right the moment because my husband's in there. You pull this and the sides go in and it squeezes them. And so there's a brisket bar here that goes underneath her brisket. And it keeps it so that she can't hurt herself and like fall down. And then typically their head goes through here and you squeeze them. And it actually works very well. It restrains them. It keeps them safe and us safe. And it helps calm them down. So this is a really valuable, I know it's big, it's metal, might look scary, but this keeps the cows safe, calm, and us safe as well. So did
And just
anybody
like
have questions about that? Or sorry, Katie.
no, that's okay. And just like you probably read in Temple Grandin's book that you got in your package, she has autism, and being squeezed by something other than a human really made her feel calm. And she realized that that made animals calm also. So while this looks like a big machine, it really is helpful in keeping the animals safe and in a really good and happy place.
Yep. It's amazing, because otherwise we wouldn't be able to take care of these 13, 14, 1,500, you know, the bulls that can be 1,500 pounds. We wouldn't be able to take care of them safe and the way that they should be. They wouldn't get the things that they needed to get. So this is a very valuable tool for us. But we do have a little scale head here as well. I can turn it on, but we weigh everybody. So to make sure that I'm giving them enough, to make sure that they're healthy and I'm feeding them enough, when everybody comes through, we get weights on them and record that. So it's like an exciting day to see when the babies come through and guess how much they weigh and see how well we've done feeding them throughout the summer. But we did have a couple, I know Catherine wanted to talk about just a little bit of our healthcare and such, and I believe everybody got what? Not okay, sorry. What we do use, we work with our veterinarian. If any of the animals get sick, we try to promote low stress so nobody gets sick. But there is some things that we do have in our arsenal or in our toolbox. And under our veterinary, when our vet tells us that we can, we do use a couple different things to keep everybody healthy. This is a wormer that we squirt on their back topically. And then all the babies get a shot of Multimin when they're born, which is just some vitamins that they might be lacking when they were born, just to give them a little boost to make them, everybody eats their vitamins every day, you know. So we just brought a couple things out as a demonstration. Did anybody have any questions about this stuff?
We do have some questions, but I will note we are at 9:32. We are going to keep going and answer some of these questions that our classrooms have, but we totally understand if your classroom needs to leave or move on to another subject, or you're more than welcome to stay and listen through Chrissy answering questions. So we do have a question from Gwen Kuhn at DeRuyter Central from Mrs. Locke's classroom. And Gwen wanted to know, how many pastures do you have?
We have here, I believe, 20 different ones. And so each one, actually, I use temporary fencing, and it's called polywire. I use these little step-in posts. My daughter Addison helps drive the machine, the tractor, or the side-by-side, so we can do it. But each one of the pastures, I separate so that they don't get the whole thing. They get little sections. So I have about 20 here. And like I said, I graze around 180 acres here. So that normally lasts me about 45 days. I think we're going to go over here.
So talking about Addison, Mr. Pavlis's class wanted to know, what does Addison do on the farm?
Addison does all sorts of things. She does her chores when she wants to, but she helps feed the goats. She helps drive the side-by-side. She never likes to miss a new calf being tagged. So she always likes to jump in the side-by-side. She never wants to miss one of them. But Addison helps with a lot of things. We miss her when she goes back to school after the summer.
At PG Middle School, Mrs. True's class wanted to know, do you have dogs to help with the cows?
We do not here. My husband put this up. This is some temp fencing that we use for the goats and Lucy when we only use them, and we have our meat chickens. But the polywire that we use for the cows is just a simple strand like this top one. But we do not have cattle dogs here. It's something we've thought about, but we use our side-by-side. We like modern technology, so we have a side-by-side. It's like a small UTV, and that's what we use. And we just utilize body language. The cows are really responsive, and my husband and I work with them all of the time. So they're very good at knowing us and being calm. And if you just move in different directions, they're great at listening to your body language and doing what you would like. So. Did you have
So
another?
Mrs. Locke's class also wanted to know, as we talk about veterinarians and all the medicines you showed us, how do cows get sick?
Weather can be a big contributing factor to them getting sick. Stress is something as well, and then possibly being compromised when they're born. When you're 70 pounds and your mom has you and it doesn't go well, sometimes that's a great reason why, not a great reason, but that's a reason why they could get sick. So weather, stress, and just natural, everybody, you know, so when you go to school and you get back to school and everybody gets sick when they get all their germs and share their germs, it's kind of like that sometimes with the cows too.
So Hinesdale wanted to know, how do you release your cow from the chute?
Oh, I can show you that. Lucy's still standing there patiently for once, not complaining, because she's kind of a princess. But once we've squeezed them, right here, there's a bar right here that I would release the squeeze. So it didn't pop out like it normally would because I didn't squeeze her that hard. And then right here through the front, they wanted to see, babe, how Lucy gets out. There's little bars and such. So this is a self-catching head gate, it's called. So when they come through, it's back like this, and they put their head through and their shoulders hit those bars and it springs forward and it squeezes their head. And then when I'm done with them and I've released the squeeze, I go like this and they walk right out.
Now we have
Some
another
of them,
classroom who wanted to know, do you put the goats through this chute system?
no. The goats are just at our Lucy's friends. The goats, they were pets, and actually, funny enough, the goats are harder to keep in sometimes than all of the cows combined. But no, the goats are just here for moral support for Lucy because she's out in a pasture with them or in a stall. So if I took her down here without her goat, she might get upset. So I wanted her to be happy today.
So Mrs. Mortis's class wanted to know, do the horses and cows graze together?
We do sometimes, yes. The horses, when they're around the house, so we have different pastures around our guest house, so sometimes, yes, they do. The only time we really don't do that is my horse can be a little mean, so I just worry that she's gonna like be mean for one of the cows and hurt them. So, and sometimes the cow's grass is really nice or too nice for the horses, but yes, sometimes we do, and it's kind of comical to watch.
So we have two questions from Ms. Custon's class and from Jeb of DeRuyter Elementary. What happens when the cows escape? Do they escape? If so, how many?
That would be worst case scenario. We always aim for them not to escape. We try to condition the cows a lot when we move them to different pastures. Our UTV has a horn, so we beep it, and we always go, like if I did it now, they'll all moo and scream. We can do that in a second. Not scream, but moo at me. And we go, come on, girls, come on. And they know that and recognize that as, oh, she's going to give us new grass. So by doing that and conditioning them that way, if something were to happen, that's kind of our go-to. But so far, we try to make sure our fence lines are clear and hot. So hot means there's electric fencing. So it just gives them a little zap, say, hey, don't go through this fence. And we do that for their protection as well. Because if you didn't have fences, cows would just be everywhere walking in the roads and such. So we actually, knock on wood, I don't want to jinx myself, we haven't had them get out yet. But that's just through checking, crossing your T's and dotting your I's and just making sure everything's hot and the way it's supposed to be and gates are closed.
So Mr. Pavlis's class, they're really interested. How do the calves get the milk from their moms?
How do the calves get the milk from their moms? Well, the cows all have udders, which have 4 teats. On Lucy, it would be, I will step her around. On Lucy, I'm going to step up here so I don't get kicked, because that's important. It would be right here. This is where her boobs are, or her udders is. And so when she had a baby, her udder would get full, and there's 4 teats. And if we go back over, you might catch one of the calves, but they nurse off of them like a bottle. We'll go over to the other side, and you could possibly see, but they just nurse off of their moms. We don't bottle feed them. That would take too much time. So, any others?
Yeah, Mrs. Locke's class wanted to know, how do you give the cows the deworming medicine?
There's a couple different dewormers that you can use. There's one that's an oral one that you would squirt in their mouth. But we typically use, it's called a pour on, and you just squirt it over their top of their back on their hair, just like you would for your dog or your cat, like a flea and tick for your dog or your cat. So while they're in the chute, they'll get a wormer and their vaccines, and we're going to just start doing that actually next week for the babies. The babies have to get a first vaccine and then a booster. But everybody else, the cows, the yearlings, and the dads, they always just get vaccines once a year. So wormer is a pour on.
PG Middle School wants to know, what time do you have to get up in the morning, Chrissy?
I always say that we have beef cows for a reason. When you have dairy cattle, a lot of people milk them at like 4 or 5 in the morning and the same at night. So the cows are going to be there whether we wake up or not right at 5 in the morning. But we typically head out to the barn about 8 o'clock in the morning. And during the summer and the spring and the fall, we're always out here as well. So if something happens, you tend to hear it or see it, and we're always nearby to help them. That's one of the benefits of living here on the farm, because we do live here on the farm.
Pine Grove Middle School also wanted to know, do cows sleep?
Oh, yes, they can be very lazy. You'll see one of the bull calves over there. He's down there resting, and this time of the year, they really like it because there's no flies and such. We can go in with them. But yes, they do. They can be quite lazy, and this is the perfect weather for it.
Kylie Customs class wanted to know, how fast do the cows run?
It depends on how motivated they are for food. Food is a really big motivating factor for them. So I don't know if I know the mile per hour or such, but they could give me a good ride on my UTV to keep up sometimes if they saw some good grass and wanted to get out.
So we also had a question, are the bulls mean?
I would say that that's a good question though. Our bulls, we try to do a lot with them and make it so that they're worried about us more, but definitely as a rule of thumb for the farmers, the cows we can walk around right now and be fine with, but I don't ever really trust a bull. He's got a lot of testosterone and he's a big boy and he's really heavy, so we never put ourselves in a scenario where we would have to be too worried about that. But the cows right now are very nice. When they start having their babies and their babies are firstborn, it's always the time that like we try to keep our daughter in the UTV because the cows can be pretty protective. But these babies are really old. They were born in May, so they're not as new and shiny, and the moms aren't quite as protective because they know that they're okay. So there's one of our Baldy. So that's number 24. And that's her calf next to her 162 that she had this year. She had an all black calf, but last year she had a girl named Daisy and she had a white face like her. But we only have 3 mommies that have white faces like that.
So I think we have probably time for 2 more questions. This next one from Cheryl, New York is, how much does the heaviest cow weigh on the farm?
Our heaviest cows here, well, our heaviest cow, which is a mom who's had a baby, that's the definition. I believe she's number 4. I don't see her, but I know that that's her baby right there, 152. He's only got 1 tag. And she's about 1,400 pounds, maybe a little over that. I don't remember exactly, but I do remember she's one of our heaviest. The bulls, now I'm not an exact at that because when we put them in the chute, I don't always have the scale, but the bulls can be upwards of 1,800, maybe even 2,000 pounds. Our oldest bull, Buster, is probably our biggest one. But the bulls are out now. And actually this little baby right here, 410, she was our first calf of the year. So she's probably going to jump up. But she was our first calf. Her mom was number 25.
And we have one final question. I think it's a great question to end our virtual field trip on today. Mrs. Mertz's 4th grade class wants to know, what's the most enjoyable thing about working on a farm?
Oh, definitely. That's really easy. My favorite time of the year is calving. I love calving season. I just am so proud of my ladies, my cows, that they just, it's amazing that they have a baby and they know exactly what to do and they're so maternal, their instincts just take over. That's a very easy question. I love grazing and giving them the grass and such, but calving season by far, seeing all of your hard work over the winter, making sure that they're safe, warm, healthy, they have food, and then they deliver you that beautiful little calf and they do a good job with it. By far, that's my favorite time. And when we're grazing, the calves are always the last ones to go. So when they're running around with their little tails up, kicking poop at you, that's the best time of the year for sure. Calving season and the babies is my favorite part.
Well, Chrissy, we can't thank you enough for inviting us all to come to your farm this morning. It was a great field trip. Thank you to all of our students for such amazing questions. We appreciate you joining us today, and we hope that you learned a lot about beef cattle and from Chrissy. Have a great day.
Thank you for having us.